doing. I was doing a lot of other stuff in my life. I was a professional outdoor photographer, and I had exotic lumber business. I used to shoot for all the Sports Afield, Men's Journal, all the big magazines. I worked for George Herbert Walker Bush. Well, he used to hire me when he went fishing, and he'd take me with him as his personal photographer.
Wow.
So, and you know how I got started in that? I went to Woodstock without a camera. That was a big deal. I said, never again. I came home, and a friend of mine, Jim Penna, who plays harmonica still with the Ragtime Willies. I went to Jim. I got to learn photography. What do I need? So he sold me a manual camera, a Minolta 101, and I taught myself how to shoot. The next thing you know, the president was calling me. I mean, how does stuff happen?
Yeah.
You know, but I was inspired at Woodstock.
Sure. What was Woodstock like?
Oh my God. Sleeping in the mud. I missed some of the music because, you know, you doze off, or you had to walk somewhere to try to find some food. I remember I was there for the whole 3 days. And
were you there for Richie Havens?
Rich, oh my God, there goes them goosebumps again. Oh, I was there for Richie Havens.
Yeah.
The hairs on the back of my neck are standing up. That was the point where Woodstock was born. The spirit of Woodstock at that point, when he came up, he was improvising because they couldn't get, there was no way to get musicians into Woodstock. Because the roads were closed, they had to fly him in. There was only a helicopter, and he was the first one to come in because he was only by himself.
So they put him up there, yeah.
So they got him in, right? And of course he had a Congo player with him. So nobody else could get in, and all these people showed up. The fences were down. I showed up with tickets. They never took my tickets. I still have them. They're worth some bucks. And we got in. And we set up, and now we need music. So they got Richie up there, and he started playing. And then when he got, then he didn't have any more material, so he went to get off. No, you gotta keep playing until we get somebody else in. They made him go back up several times because they had nobody else there. So he keeps playing, and finally he starts Ad-libbing Freedom.
That song. Whew.
Wow. Wow, there you go again.
Yeah.
And it's the whole place took on an aura of a spiritual thing was happening. We all realized that there's something going on here. And it was a peaceful thing. We realized at that point, as the helicopters started flying around, and the whole place kind of realized that we were making history. We were kind of getting an idea of what was happening. But it was very peaceful, and it was a lot of love and the music. But Richie Havens set the stage for the whole thing. When he came to Reading, he played over at the Jazz Bass in Reading. And I knew he was going to play. And I was going to go because I wanted to meet him and tell him how he made me feel that day, personally. I mean, I really wanted to do it. But I had a terrible toothache. Oh, my God. I had to go to the dentist and get some pain pills and penicillin. And I took a couple Valiums just to get rid of the pain. I mean, my face was swollen. And I stopped at the CD exchange over in Moton, which I go every Saturday morning. It's a clubhouse. Every Saturday morning I buy my music for the week. Pick up the stuff that I ordered, and there's a gang of us that show up to pick up our stash of music every week. So I stopped in there that day on the way home. She said, "Are you going to Richie Havens?" Oh my God. Because the Valiums hadn't really kicked in yet. I just was getting the buzz. Because this tooth was killing me. And I realized there's no way I could make it. That killed me. By the time I got home, the pain was gone. I was really, I laid down and I took some penicillin, and I couldn't make it that night. Now, my cousin John Ernesto, he runs the Jazz Fest, he books all the music. He knew how I felt about Richie Havens. Richie Havens had these big prints, black and white prints, of him playing Freedom, walking off the stage, still playing. I could see that. It's in my mind's eye to this day. I can see him doing that. What was the photographer's name? Ellison? Landy Ellison? He's a rock photographer. I think that's his name. And he caught that picture of Richie coming back, still playing. Richie had these prints with him. My cousin John got one, had him sign it for me. He had it framed and he gave it to me. Oh my God.
That's great.
And he gave it to me one day. I almost cried. I think I did. I mean, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
I have that hanging with my Woodstock tickets in my music room at the house. So, yeah, that Woodstock, oh my God. But the high point was Richie Havens. That started it. And from that point on, you knew that we were going to get through this, and we were making history. And there was no violence. A lot of drugs. Yeah, what the hell? It was Woodstock and a lot of hippies. But everybody was peaceful, and everybody shared what they had. Everybody just, and we got through it somehow. But the other high point of Woodstock was, it was late at night, it was dark, and Sly and the Family Stone came on. Oh shit, there goes the goosebumps. Oh my God. When they came on, wow, they lit the friggin' place up. I mean, it was, the whole crowd was, oh my God, they were just jamming. It was, though Richie Havens and Sly and the Family Stone were the two bands that made, for me, Woodstock. There was a lot of other great music. Don't get me wrong. A lot of great music. But those two bands, wow. And somehow, we survived, and we made it home, and it happened, and it'll never happen again. It can happen again, because those are different times.
Yeah.
Those are really different times. The spirit that was there, and the love and the freedom. At that time, we were naive, I guess you would say, of course, and we thought that the world was going to be a better place because we were going to change it. Politics is constant. You got to keep fighting against the politicians to get this world where it should be. And they're just never ending. So we were a bit naive, and we thought we were going to make the world another place, but then you had Vietnam going on. Yeah, and it got violent. 1968, the Democratic Convention, it was a lot of violence, Kent State. But you had that peace movement at the same time. But it was a strange time back then, 68, 69. And how we came out of that, I don't know. How we're going to get out of what's going on today is another issue. I'm scared to death of the political situation, what it is today. But I keep thinking, I went through the 60s, and we made it out of there. We'll make it out of this, but a change is happening, and not for the good. The political situation today is really goddamn scary. And I don't know how we're getting out of it, but music will have a part in it. Music is always the spirit of the world, not the country. Music is the spirit of the world. There's a great thing with Plan for Change. I don't know if you're aware of that band. They record music and they take it all around the world and add music to it from all over the world and mix it. Check it out.
I will.
Playing for Change. Yeah. Music is an international language. Music will get you through. When times are tough, if music moves you, it will get you through hell and back. It'll take you to a place where you need to be immediately, quicker than drugs, much easier on your body. Music is big medicine.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
That's incredible.
So after that, after the Pretenders thing in 95, 6, I went back to just what I was doing and singing where I could. I'd sit in somewhere here or there. And then my cousin John again, Ernesto, called me, and he needed some background singers for the Jazz Fest. Joe McBride was playing there, and he needed some backup singers for One Love and Bob Marley's song. So his wife Susie and Tony Lynn were playing as the Ladies of Jazz, I think, on and off. And they needed somebody else. My cousin said, Johnny said, "The hell, call Sammy. He'll sing with you." So they called and we got together. We rehearsed and did the show with Joe McBride. Backed him up on that, and also on a Sly Stone song too. We backed up on that, and then I thought, shit, that was fun. I miss singing harmony, so we started getting together at my studio. I've got a studio where I live, and we started getting together every Monday night. And my vision was harmony. I was a front man a lot, but I'd much rather enjoy hearing my voice in the harmony rather than sing lead. I enjoy singing lead, but my joy is when that harmony is tight and you hear your voice, and when everything is dead on, it vibrates. You know, like when you do that with a string and a button. You know that? That's when you've got great harmony. It's the same thing. It vibrates, and as soon as somebody moves, it's over. So my vision and we called ourselves the Spirits in the House, because it was spiritual shit. It's the spirits in the house, and it was, I geared it around harmony. We had 3-part harmony, and we did that every Monday for 5 years, and we played a couple places here and there. Craig Schallenberger came in. Well, my friend Billy Uhas again, who played with the bands. There was the Cadillacs and the Duke, the Royal Dukes, with Sonny Mucho and them guys. That was back in the 50s, early 60s. So we've been friends all that time. So he played with this acoustic guitar, and then he left, and then Craig Schallenberger came in, and he was with me in Tally and the Hustlers. And so he came in. We had a guitar and then 3 voices. So we were together for 5 years. Every Monday night, mostly, we'd skip every now and then, somebody couldn't make it. And we'd rehearse and sing just for shits and giggles, for joy. And then we'd play, they had those Good Fridays, or First Fridays or something, and then we would sing out a couple of places here and there, but mostly it was for the joy of singing and doing harmony and stuff. And we worked out a lot of arrangements that we could do harmony to these different songs. So I did that for about 5 years, and then that broke up. And I'm still singing. I sit in here and there. I get, every now and then I'll put some musicians together for a show somewhere, something special. And it's always different, but I'm always reaching into the roots, pulling that good old music, the root music, and doing it in a different way and reinterpreting it. And that's the joy of it. When you, and it just brought me to mind of, we just lost another great musician, Bob Hassler.
Yes.
Just died. I knew Bob for a long, long time. He was another guy that knew the history of music.
Yeah.
You'd find him, you'd walk in a place and he'd be sitting in a corner somewhere.
Sure. Yeah, I've seen him plenty of times around town. Yeah.
And he'd be sitting
Farmer's
there,
market.
you know, and he would be telling a story about the song he was going to play, right?
He was a storyteller.
He was a storyteller. He was one of those people that knew the history and shared it with everybody, because that means something. You know, when you understand the history of music, where it came from, who did it, why it came about. There was social stuff, civil rights, all that. It all came from the blues and the R&B. It all came from the cotton fields. You're going to believe that. Ham bone came from the cotton fields. And I do that every now and then to teach kids how to do ham bone. And that came because they took all the instruments away from the black people. They weren't allowed to play music. So they played their body and sang ham bone. You know that. Ham bone, where you been? Round the corner and back again. And you'd sit on a street corner. When I was a kid, we used to sit on a street corner, 10, 12, 13 of us. Little kids, black, white, mixed. I grew up in a mixed area. And we would sit there, and you can imagine 13 kids sitting on a street corner doing that. And singing, taking turns, singing a verse. And that's what we used to do. So at the Father Folk Festival, which I try to do every year, I put a band together, or a couple of acoustic people, and do a completely different set of roots music at the Father Folk Festival. Rod Irwin, he has it at his farm. It's a private little thing outdoor. It's a beautiful little thing he puts together every year. And he always asked me to get some kids together and do ham bone when I'm there. And so I try to do that gig every year. It's always fun. And, you know, every opportunity that I can like that, to put something together and do some good music and share that music, it's real important to me. But it's the old roots music, and I would tell the stories about it just like Bob does. In fact, this year I dug deep and I went down and did St. James Infirmary, which was a really heavy song, and also Jim Dandy. Probably you remember that?
I don't. No.
Oh my God, that's from the 50s. Make Me a Pallet on Your Floor. That's an old roots blues music. So every year I try to do a set of roots music and share that with people, because you don't hear it anymore. If you went to see Bob, you'd hear it. And now we lost him.
Yeah.
What a shame. And that's what was so important about what Bob did to the community, was he shared a lot of music. People may not realize that they were learning something when they went to see Bob, but they were. You know, you hear it and maybe it's stuck. It's getting a little choked up thinking about Bob. Bob, the best thing about Bob, he had such a great sense of humor. Yeah. I can hear his laugh all the time. He had such a great sense of humor. Bob, I used to jam with Bob back in the late 60s, early 70s with John Lyons, and John Lyons did, and John King did a set with me at Father Folk this year. And it's hard to get John to come out and do something because he's always working. But I got him at a good time this year. So John Lyons and John King and I did a set at the Father Folk. But Bob Hassler, he was one of those guys that was constant.
Yeah.
He was part of the Reading music scene
Yeah.
and shared a lot. So it was really sad to lose Bob. And it's good to think
Yeah.
about him today for a minute.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm not sure where to go from there, but it took my breath away.
We lost a couple of good musicians this year.
Yeah.
And we were thankful we were able to get them in and recognize them and acknowledge them this year to be able to honor their spirit.
Thank
that they bring to
goodness.
the community.
Here's a good reason to remind people how important it is to vote and vote for the old timers. Because look at Don Walker. He was just inducted this year with
Yep.
me, and what did he died a couple of months
Yep.
later. How important that was that he got recognized while he's alive.
Yeah.
You know, but the problem is a lot of the people involved in this are too young and they don't know these people.
Yeah.
There's people on the list. I actually put some names in there
Good.
because nobody remembers the old timers. The reason I got inducted is because John King thought it was time to get me involved. So
Good.
he asked me
Good.
to join his band to get inducted because I influenced him. And
Yeah,
that's
we're-
how I
we're
got
thankful
it.
that happened because look at the wealth of knowledge you have and your experience and
Well,
your
this,
contributions to Berks County and beyond, really.
I was so looking forward to this interview to share stuff that I saw, that I did in Reading, because it's all throughout history, all over the world. It's the storytellers in the village that keep the history going.
Yeah.
So the stories that I told today, how many people knew that? They're too
I learned
young.
quite a bit myself, yeah.
They're too young. So I was really excited to come here and share these stories. I'm trying to remember things that I want to say. I don't want to forget anything, but I think I covered it pretty good. But I just can't stress enough, do your research and find out who's left from those days that are alive yet.
Yeah. Yes, and the poll is still up. So people still have a chance to vote for people they'd like. And we also have a committee for the Berks County Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And that's some of the musicians from the Berks County Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and also people from the community who were around back then. And Barry Petrie's cousin is one of them. And he's
Good.
been
Well,
helping
he
us
would know.
with some of the research. And it is our goal to really be able to honor all of these people. And a lot of the people you mentioned that you played with, and that really is the goal, to just kind of commemorate all the contributions. And
Well, that's what I'm hoping,
Yeah.
that we're losing them.
yeah,
We're losing them. And thank goodness that Don got his award right before he died.
yeah,
He needed that. He deserved it. So it's a wonderful thing that you're doing. It needs to be done because a lot of serious music came out of Reading. And over the years, and some great jazz musicians came out of Al Gray, for one. But the Grand Hotel, some of the music that came out of that place,
yeah,
but most people don't remember that. You got to be my age to remember that. But it was a place where you could see the best music touring the whole East Coast in that place. And Denny McConnell, you know Denny? He's the DJ.
no,
He's been around a long, long time. He's a DJ, plays everywhere. Well, his dad was part owner of the Grand Hotel.
oh,
And he wanted to get into Grand Delit because he knew the music was going on, but he was too young, and his dad wouldn't let him in. He would sit out on the stoop out front. He could hear the music, but he wasn't allowed because he was too young. And we talk about that all the time. Because his dad he was part owner, but he wasn't allowed to be in there. But It was one of those places where it had a reputation because it was on the south side on the railroad tracks. You might want to call it the hood. And my mom used to be scared to death that she knew I was in the Grand Hotel. And
Where was that located?
at 7th and Franklin,
Okay.
right on the railroad track. There was a bar on the other corner, on the east corner. They were on the west corner. It was there. I don't know when they tore that down or quit. It was a long time ago. But I was lucky enough to be old enough. Well, I wasn't old enough. But the bouncer, everybody knew me. I was a singer. And the bouncer, Lulu, and he knew me, and everybody knew me. And I was in there on Saturday afternoons for sure, and sometimes on a Friday evening. But boy, that place was that was special. I mean, that was one of those bars where you could always count on some incredible music. But it had a reputation. You know, a lot of white people didn't really hang in there. But I never had a problem. I was never prejudiced ever. I grew up around mixed people and black people. They were my best friends, so I never had that issue, and I never got it from anybody else. So I never had an issue, no matter where I went. Being a musician or a singer helps.
Sure.
You know, music is big medicine, and you get respect.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is there anything? I don't know if
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. It's just really incredible, and I feel really honored to have been able to talk with you today.
I think I pretty much. I think I much covered
Got
everything.
everything?
I think I did.
Great.
I had to make myself some notes because I didn't want to miss anything.
Sure. I'm glad you did.
Well, it was a real pleasure to share these stories. And that's what storytellers have to do, because the young people, this is a totally different era. You need to know the history.
Sure.
And thank goodness that
That's why we're here.
this is happening.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
I enjoyed it.